You got to feel sorry, though, for the little goblins that just enjoy exercising power. I'm somebody. I have power. You know, that famous TSA agent going, I have power, beating their chest like King Kong, but in a ninnying way. I have power. I have power. I have power. And then the others that flip out and go, I'm God, and just start dancing around insanely. Because imagine that poor little people who can't even tie their shoelaces now get to act like God. And they just go insane. Sick of the
LAX about 7:30, probably crowded because a lot of people were coming home from the New Year's holiday, when suddenly a man starts acting strangely. He starts saying, I'm God, I'm in charge. LAX police and arrest that man, and he turns out to be a TSA agent. They are the first line of defense in airport security, Transportation Security Administration agents. But there have been two troubling incidents.
By the way, that's not the only time they flip out and begin trying to rape women, asking them out on dates, robbing things, groping children. I mean, just a group of crazy people. I mean, who wants a job taking people's diapers off and groping their wives and children in front of them? This is total federalization, total tyranny. No country does this, not even North Korea. And now they're on the streets. And all of it based on the fraud, the giant stinking pile of lies that is the false flag staged event of 9/11. Months before 9/11, I said that criminal elements of the government were going to blow up the World Trade Centers and blame it on their CIA asset, bin Laden. I said it the day of the event. And I went from over 100 radio stations to less than 30 in 1 month. And I was told, stop saying it by the stations or we're going to turn you off. And I said, I can't. I saw them blow up Building 7 that day. Remember that? I saw Rand Corporation documents about plans for this. I saw the media gearing up for people to give up their rights when the terrorists hit. And Newsweek reports the hijackers were trained at U.S. bases. There were drills for a stand-down that was Tripod 2. They found the passports within hours. And that's impossible for them to survive and be found. And I went on and on and on. It's the truth. I've got to tell the truth. My point is, I didn't come out and say, I mean, I was already exploding in talk radio 12 years ago. But leading up to 9/11, 11 years ago, or 10 and a half years ago, I had made it. I was successful. I'd been on air, 5 years and was already very successful and saw that all reversed because I would tell the truth. I'm saying I paid a big price. Financially, my career, everything. But my career isn't a career about money or fame. It's about exposing this. And I'm not saying I'm a hero. I'm pointing out a lot of people have given their lives to tell the truth, like Barry Jennings that died shortly after we aired an interview with him, the deputy head of emergency management admitting bombs in Building 7. So many others. I've interviewed police officers who've been death threatened after they come on, who were there and heard the countdown to blow up 7. And we have the footage of cops saying, get back, they're going to blow up 7. That's CNN. We have BBC saying, it had fallen before it did. We have them. And the problem with 9/11 is there's thousands of pieces. But bottom line, it was used to take our rights. Now, we're about to go to Sibel Edmonds. But the point is, people contact us, good old boys I run into, military, generals I meet with, retired generals, and they go, Alex, look, I know that the government does a lot of bad stuff, stage Gulf of Tonkin and things, but it's just hard to believe the government would do that. And I go, it's not the government. It's the criminal banking elements that launder the money, run the child kidnapping rings that are on record in Congress, that Sibel Edmonds exposed and others have. They are the ones that have hijacked the country, and there are radical Muslims. There are groups they fund. It's in the news that they're funding al-Qaeda to attack Syria. They gave Libya to al-Qaeda. They're training the Kosovo Liberation Army with al-Qaeda. In the mainstream news is reporting on it to go into Syria. The U.S. ambassador to the UN said last week, there'll be more bombings, Assad, if you don't step down. They're calling them activists who are blowing up police stations in Syria. This is the reality. And I've interviewed Colonel Schaefer, who said, yes, SWAT and a lot of these other guys, they're double agents inside the Pentagon and FBI. Yes, this stuff's staged. And he was hunting bin Laden. Could have killed him, wasn't allowed to. But the biggest whistleblower out there, bar none, is Sibel Edmonds. She's the editor of Boiling Frogs Post and co-founder director of the National Security Whistleblowers Coalition. She's a recipient of the 2006 Penn Newman's own First Amendment Award. Ms. Edmonds worked as a luggage specialist for the language specialist for the FBI. I was thinking about the TSA, where she reported serious acts of security breaches and cover-ups. She was looking at NSA intercepts and listening to it. And for that, she was retaliated against and unfairly fired. Now, I want her to recap her story. She told Congress in closed session, closed hearings. Then she was told, shut up. There's other whistleblowers, but they didn't have the courage that she's had to go public. She later broke the gag order and went through what she heard, the government drug dealing, Al-Qaeda being commanded, arms dealing. Now they admit they grow the opium in Afghanistan. So I wanted to just preface all of this up front that she's undoubtedly the biggest and most senior whistleblower to actually put the finger from the inside, not just the image we're seeing from the outside, clearly using the attacks to take our liberties, launch wars, lie about WMDs, create a clash of civilizations as PNAC called for. And her website is classifiedwoman.com. She has a new book out in the startling new memoir, Sibel Edmonds, the most classified woman in U.S. history, takes on a surreal journey that begins with the secretive FBI down the dark halls of feckless Congress to a stonewalling judiciary and finally to the national security whistleblowers movement she spearheaded. We'll stop right there and bring her up with us for the balance of the hour, but it's great to have her here with us. Correct any points that I may have gotten wrong. Recap your story, what you heard, and what your book covers.
Thank you very much, Alex, and thank you for this great intro. One of the things is when you just mentioned that I'm the most classified woman in the history of the United States, this is what the United States legal communities, including the ACLU, have come and said. You know, they slapped me with the state secrets privilege, not once, twice. And with this book, Classified Woman, we have been fighting the FBI and the Justice Department for over a year to get this book out, to publish it. And you have to submit it to the FBI because they own it. When you work for agencies like this and you obtain clearance, they make you sign these forms and papers, and you give up every single right you have as a citizen. Most importantly, you give up your First Amendment right. I didn't realize it when I took the job with the FBI 3 days after 9/11. I was naive. I was one of the majority in the United States who believed FBI was a, good law enforcement agency. I had a master's degree in public policy, and my head was filled up with all these theoretical and fantastical lies that we still have separation of powers and system of checks and balances. So I went ahead and I signed those papers. Well, they used those papers saying, you have no right to publish a single word in this book. Ordinarily, they take it. All these people who have had clearance with FBI, they have to submit it, okay? I mean, this itself is police state, because this is absolutely contradiction to our First Amendment. And the FBI has to go through it and decide what they need to redact, and they have 30 business days to do that. They sat on it for 1 year. They sent letters to my attorney. They said they are not releasing a single word. Not a single word.
Yeah, and let's be clear. Let's tell people what you were doing. You were for the FBI looking at NSA intercepts. So you, 3 days after 9/11, you get hired. They're hiring a big force to go in there and listen to the Arabic and things. You're hearing Al-Qaeda. I mean, tell people in a nutshell the intercepts, what you heard.
Well, first of all, there were several areas where I was working for the FBI, counterintelligence and also counterterrorism. Now, some of these files dated back to mid-1990s, Alex, 1996, okay? And it covered the period 96 to 2001. And we, as a nation, and this is not the FBI, okay? This is the CIA and the State Department, our military-industrial complex. We were busy working in Central Asia and in Caucasus. These are the Turkic republics, the ex-Soviet Union states. And I do speak those languages. I speak Turkish, I speak Azerbaijani, so I had to re-review because they had been translated, summary translation before. And basically, it showed that our government, has been working with, they didn't even call them Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda didn't get to be called Al-Qaeda until 9/11 in the FBI. They still refer to them, our government, as Mujahideen, our allies Mujahideen. So they were creating cells in Central Asia and Caucasus, and they had an arm of NATO, and this is through their, Turkey's ally countries, a NATO member. and creating cells together with these elements from Pakistan and Saudi Arabia, Bin Laden and Ayman Zawahiri. And they were pouring hundreds of millions of dollars creating these terror cells against Russia in Central Asia and Caucasus, in Azerbaijan, in Kyrgyzstan, in Tajikistan.